Okay, so hi everybody. This is Shulamit, Lazarus, and you can learn more about my work at shulamitlazarus.com. I'm a healer, an empath, an intuitive, clairsentient, life coach, homeopath, and more. I never know how to start these things. I want to talk about something that is extremely important. And I'm gonna tie it all together. So please be patient with me, because these are ideas that you may not understand or may be foreign to you. And I'm trying to figure out how to put it together, because what's going on in our planet now, what's going on in our society, is too important to ignore and to get involved in comments of somebody's hairstyle or something being too long, or some kind of trivial minutia that somebody will find against a video. I really don't care. What I want to do, and what we should be doing now, is serving each other. More than ever, light workers, star seeds, truthers, truth seekers, we need to find out what's going on. And what's going on the surface is a mirage. There's something very, very dark going on. So people will say conspiracy. So let's look at the word conspiracy and what it really means. It comes from two words, basically: con, which means with, and spire, which means to breathe. So these people that are conspirators are breathing together. In essence, they're getting together and they're talking about something. And so the fastest way to dismiss and trivialize somebody is to say that, oh, that's a conspiracy. And that was planned to be that way. Okay, so don't allow that to happen here. Because when we look back on things, we find out that the things that we never believed could be happening, like mass sterilization, was happening. There have been heinous things done by groups that we only find out about many decades later. For example, I never knew that Native American children were taken out of their homes and forced into boarding schools in order to be Christian. The idea was to kill the Indian and save the man. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I didn't know that until recently, and I became immersed in understanding that, because I don't know about you, but I didn't learn that in school. So the history that we're being fed is distorted. It's meant to create a certain result. Schooling is meant to create citizens that step in line and follow rules like sheep. And we need to think for ourselves now. More than ever, we need to think for ourselves. So many of you perhaps have heard the words Cabal, Illuminati, the deep state, the elite, globalists. All of these words, they all refer to a plan and a group of people that have been acting out that plan. And it's nefarious, it's heinous, it's vile, it's evil. Now, it sounds like where I'm going to end up is being very negative, but I'm actually not. I'm going to tie this to the light and the power that you have to make a difference. So there's a dark action going on underneath the surface of all this COVID stuff. And that is a grab for control over the people and getting you to a place where you willingly and happily give up your freedom. Some of you are begging to give up your freedom. And that's perfect. That's what they want. People who are starting to speak out about things that are showing up in Hollywood and the dark satanic and Luciferian and pedophilic and all of these things, you can start watching it now. One of the documentaries is by these stuntmen, and it's called Out of the Shadows, and I highly suggest that you watch it. So that exposes some of the undersurface, the underbelly that is going on in Hollywood, and then there are other people that have talked about it in the music industry and so on. That's just the tip of the iceberg. That's the tip of the iceberg. So if you start doing research, which I highly suggest that you do, don't just listen to me, because I'm sharing my thoughts and my feelings about things, but I'm going to be sharing them in a way that will use metaphor and use ideas that that you want to fill in the pieces for. You need to do your own due diligence, just like when you're picking a stock. You can't just take somebody's idea and say, I'm going to run with that idea for the stock. You really need to do your own due diligence. You have to do your own research. And there's layers and layers and layers. But I'm sharing from where I am. And I'm hoping that it will help illuminate those of you who are not awake to all of this, and that it will inspire you to wake others. So this underbelly is starting to be seen. And there's an intensification of the white energy, the light energy on our planet. There's a yearning, like when people come in to see me and they ask me to help them. I work with people of all ages. And people that come to me, they come in feeling stuck. And I help them clear that. That's my mastery, is as a clairsentient, I can feel people's thoughts. I can feel where they're stuck. And I help them with stunningly fast speed. And one of the things that invariably is going on with people is a desire to be more awake and a yearning to connect spiritually. Now, I'm not talking about a religion. That's fine. If that works for you, that's fine. I'm not a structured person, so that doesn't work for me. But there's a yearning to connect to spirit, and that is a call, in essence, from your true being. It's a call to come home. And I see it across the board. My clients are all ages. They're from 15 all the way to late 70s. All across the board, there is a hunger to connect to spirit, to connect to the light. And when I help them clear the pain, the grief, the resentment, the hate, the anger, whatever pain they're in, there's a lightening of the spirit and a desire for more light. And so I see empirically that this is in fact our true nature. Although you're not seeing me smiling right now, I am deeply passionate and excited and have a tremendous desire to reach out and touch your heart. with what I'm saying. So I'm going to move to another subject now, and that's something called the morphogenetic field. And some of you may know what that is, or some of you may have heard it bandied about. If you're healers, certainly you probably have heard it. I'm speaking to everybody, so I don't know if you're a healer, light worker, intuitive, starseed, whatever it is. And please, if you have any questions or comments, please always put them on the videos, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But the morphogenetic field is a very important thing because it is our power. There are people that demonstrate actively. They are very courageous people, and I admire them deeply. That's not how I'm made. I'm an activist, but I'm not the kind of person that goes and burns 5G towers. The activism that I use is my passion, my ideas, and my helping people to be free. Because with each person that I help to be free, that gives them more power, and the joy and the light and the heart, the compassion and the love that comes from that gets fed back into the planet. And we are not separate from the planet. We are one being. We are one organism. So the more hate and anger that we put in ourselves, that we rile up in society, the more it gets fed into the field of the planet. It's one field. We are one field. We experience ourselves as separate. It's an illusion. So there is something called the 100th Monkey that was talked about a long time ago. And the 100th Monkey idea is that you have a monkey over here that can do some kind of thing with ants or whatever to get food or whatever it is they're doing. And they may be using a straw in a certain way, rudimentary tool, whatever that is. And then way over here, where there's no possible contact between the two, you have the monkey that's able to do it over here. Well, that was a very curious thing that was noticed. And then it was noticed that a crystal, when it crystallized in the lab, let's say it took X amount of time, the next time it crystallized in the lab with the exact same conditions, it actually went faster. Now, the person that really is talking a lot about the morphogenetic field, and let me just stop for a minute and say, morphogenetic field is made of two words, morphos and genesis, right? So morphos means to shape, and genetic means to create. Genesis. Okay, so it's a shaping, it's a creating shape. It's something that's creating form. What do we mean by that? The morphogenetic field is a habit pattern that is a pattern of data. I look at things from a perspective of data. It's an informational field, right? And so the morphogenetic field is a habit pattern of information that forms and informs the behavior of entities. So let me break it down even more. My arm, right, and my leg, here's a leg, my arm and my leg are made of the exact same constituents. However, their shape is completely different. Why is that? You've got the same protein, the fats, the everything, the sinew, everything's the same, but the shape is different. Why is that? Because the data field that forms my arm is a different data field that forms my leg. And that habitually forms my arm. It doesn't change from day to day. It habitually forms my arm. And it habitually forms my leg. So it stays in that shape, right? Because if you think about it, every 7 years, every single cell in your body is completely replaced. Which means that you could be a different shape. But your basic shape, your continuity is always the same. That's because there's a morphogenetic field that creates your physical body. There's a morphogenetic field of our abilities. So let's think about the children that are being born now. I remember whiteout. I was really excited by whiteout, right? I had to learn how to type. Kids now are born with 2 thumbs that just rip like speed, right? They understand text so fast. It's not because they're smarter than the generation before. It is because the habit pattern of the energy fields that have that data are already there. And they're already being affected by that. I strongly suggest that you look more into morphogenetic fields and you'll find out more about what I'm talking about, but I'm going to give you globally right now. So the morphogenetic field is a habit pattern. It takes in data and it holds that data. It holds that information, and that information creates behaviors in us and also creates shapings. So when we talk about generational trauma, transgenerational trauma, we're talking about the morphogenetic field that has continued through the generations. Which is why this generation is still holding the trauma of that generation, even though it didn't go through it. And it's possible that the heart has something to do with the morphogenetic field, but that's a whole nother subject. So we as a collective have a morphogenetic field. Just like you have the 100th monkey, and the monkey over here getting the information and learning how to do something at the same time. And children being born better able to do tech than the generations before. It is because our fields, person to person, are not disconnected as it seems. We are transferring information. And for anybody who's done remote viewing, and I've been trained in remote viewing, you're getting information from the field. If you're reading somebody, you're getting their information from the field. So we know, and anybody who's done distance healing, which I've done tremendous amounts of distance healing, I do phone sessions all the time, I can feel the energy of the person's thought, even though I'm on the phone with them in a completely different place, it doesn't matter. Because the fields are connected. The separation is an illusion, a visual illusion. Because we have been pulled into a 3D mentality, we create a perception around that. So, since our fields are actually not separate, what's happening is that our thoughts are being projected as data, as information that then gets into the group mind. And if you go farther and farther out, as the media is giving the information, and please see Out of the Shadows, because it really shows how the media is governing the information that you're getting and spinning it and propagandizing it with a certain function, which is not a positive one. It's to control you and to control the way you think. And so when we're, as a society, communicating with each other, having these thoughts, having these emotions, especially emotions is what gets communicated more than thought. Thought is actually neutral. Then what happens is it goes into the field. It goes into the collective mind. Carl Jung talked about the collective unconscious, right? So there is a collective mind, and we can use it. That's what's exciting to me, and that's what I want you to think about. We can use it because we can actively do whatever we can in terms of political things or proactive or whatever feels right to you. But there's a limit of what we can do to dismantle the cabal. There's a limit of what we can do to dismantle the dark machinery that is working to take a hold of our freedoms and to rule the planet. There's a limit. However, there is no limit to what we can do with our mind. There's no limit to what we can do with our psychic abilities, and everybody has them. So, one of the things that we can do is feed light into the light that's already happening. There is a collective light happening. There is a magnetism of light, just as there's the magnetism of the dark. The light and the light beings, both physical and non-physical, some say, and I can't see energy, I can only feel it. But definitely beings of light are on this planet, in corporations, in the CIA, in places that you wouldn't expect, the military, the government. It's not all black and white. There are light beings everywhere that are trying to overturn and end what is going on. And it's not an overnight thing, of course, but we can do something. And the thing that we can do is we can add our own light. How do we do that? How do we do that? How do we get the morphogenetic field to change? It's not complicated. We fill it with other data. Instead of going into victim, which is the most natural thing to do, especially given the way we have been trained to think as victims, and to allow people to govern us and to tell us how to think and to make us feel small. We go into victim, we go into anger. Anger as victim, by the way, is not good for your health. It depresses the immune system. Turn it around. How do you do that? I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm going to tell you it's simple. Simple and easy are not the same thing, right? Meditation simple, not easy, right? However, very profound in the results of that simple process of just being in the moment. So, how do we do that? We need to find ways to feel the light. We need to look at things for the blessings that they are. Because when we look for blessing, we activate the heart chakra. That oscillator, which is 5,000 times, I may even be getting that wrong, but definitely 5,000 times stronger than the brain, and we can pick up the energy from the brain in EEGs. Our heart actually goes into the future and gets information before our brain knows about it, and then it tells the brain what to do, and the brain tells the body what to do. And you can learn more about that in Heart Math Institute. Check them out. So what do? We find ways to experience love, to feel compassion, to be the light. Focus on the good. And you'll have your ups and downs, right? It's hard. It's not easy. It's simple, right? Find the places of blessing. Reframe things all the time to find the blessing in it. And bring your light out. How do you do that? Imagine it, because intention is everything. So imagine, and if you're visual, you can visualize it, right? That you are filled with light. Let yourself feel every bit of love and blessing and kindness in your life. I mean, there's this little thing, count your blessings. There's a reason for that, because if you count your blessings and you put your awareness and your attention on that, and you really feel the gratitude, that creates more blessings coming to you. And we can talk about that in another video, how that works. But in any event, focus in on the blessings and really let yourself feel every single emotion around that. Fill your whole body up with that experience, because when you do that, you are radiating that frequency. And the more people and the more time that frequency gets radiated, it will go into the morphogenetic field of the group. And then it will expand out and go to the morphogenetic field of society. And then it has the potential, as people wake up more and more to the power that they have, that it will expand to the morphogenetic field of the planet. We have that power. I sit in meditation and I go into feeling all of the compassion and the love and the joy and the bliss. It is doing bliss work. It is absolutely doing bliss work. It is the most joyous feeling you will fill yourself with if you do this work, because you also can bring your light and strengthen the light that's already working to bring the darkness to the surface. And there is no darkness if it's under the surface that everyone can see. So, you are beyond powerful. You are a light. You're meant to be here. You're meant to be here in this very moment to help bring the darkness out for everyone to see the machine and how it works. You are here to bring your light and to fill it into the morphogenetic field of the planet. And in that, you will bring into the minds of the people that you haven't ever met an awakening inside them that they didn't even know they were yearning for. I send you all love. I know that you are powerful. And the next time I feel there's something that I want to share with you, I will get another video out to you. But for right now, I think this is a good place to stop. Speak to you soon.